So most probably, what we are actually doing is when we enter from and to address, and when we enter adult and children for two childrens over here, and then when we try to click on search, so what happens? Like it asks for the age as well, right? So probably we need to enter the age of children over here like this, right? So we'll be inspecting these elements as well. So we will be inspecting them, and this is flight age select one. So I'm gonna say home dot first age dot send keys, and I'll send two, and then I'll create another one for second age, and let's say enter as 4, right? So these variables we need to declare it in the home page locator as a web element, right? So this will be first stage, and then we're gonna have second age, right? And first stage is this, and the second age will be getting the idea is this, right? So once we are done with this, we'll again go back over here and try to run this now and see if it works or if there is any other task that need to be done. So let's see. Okay, so it's going up till here, but still it is not clicking on the search button. So let's see what else could be done. Element is not clickable at this point. So let's see the search button that we have taken. The locator is correct for search. This is search button, right? So locator seems to be correct. Again, inspect this element. Button type equal to submit, ID is search button. Yes, this should be the element. There's no other element wrapped around this. Yeah, this should work fine. Let's see what else can be done. If I try to click after, at times there are Ajax elements or sometime to make the element clickable, we need to bring our focus outside of the element that we have recently selected, right? And then try to click on this. Maybe if I try to inspect any element over here, let's say if I take this class, and if I try to say @find by CSS equal to dot and this class, and try to do a fake click around this element, public web element block, and simply go over here. These are some of the troubleshooting that we are doing in order to make it work. So I can simply say home dot block dot click, and let's see if this thing works. Okay, let's see what happens. Wait, errored out, no such element, timeout, unable to locate. Tab, flight tab. This is strange. Okay, see the ID just got changed. So the ID, the new ID is flight tab HP, right? So this much part is changing, right? So what I can do, I can instead of this, I can there seems to be a dynamic element, right? So flight tab, I can say XPath equal to, and this should be, so XPath will go like button, and then dynamically if we're gonna handle it, I'll say starts with any element that starts with uh, this is what ID, at the rate ID equal to, sorry, ID, and then the ID starts with this, and need to add a double backslash over here. So right, so this will be the XPath for this element. If we try to locate this element, I'll go to console and say $x. Okay, some issues, failed to execute $x on command line. What happens? Starts with so the issue seems to be here, right? And we need to get this right. So this returns you uh, the flight tab HP, right? So now let us try to handle this now, and let's see if it works. Okay, so again, seems to be an issue. It's failing again. Let's see if it's failing on the same element. Exactly. So let's see if it is changing again. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so this should not be a button. There should be an anchor tag. And over here, this is strange. This is changing over here. It shows button and then it shows. Okay, that's fine. This is a very dynamic element. So instead of this, I'm gonna add a streak over here. So no matter a button comes, no matter a link comes, it should actually gonna click on both of them. So I'll just change it to a streak. Right, and run this again. And see, It worked. All right, it worked up till here, but again, this thing is not working. This element is still not clickable. That's fine. We're gonna do some troubleshooting around this element and let's see why it is not clickable, why it is not able to click on this element. Let's see. So what if instead of clicking on this element, if I just enter and call actions, say actions, action equal to new actions. Now what I'm trying to do over here is call one of the actions by saying keys dot enter dot perform. So at times if you're not able to perform click on that particular option, you can press enter as well, right? So this will simulate the same clicking on submit button. Let's see if it works. Okay, so this is strange. Now these things are not working either. So let's see which element failed. No such element exception, unable to locate the element flight origin. That's strange. Okay, so why it is not able to click on this? Let's see. Uh, Probably the element ID. Let us see the ID of this element. So I can see so many attributes added over here, and this is the ID. Okay, so that's strange. Even these are dynamic, these are changing now, right? So we need to handle these things dynamically as well. So let's see what we can do is this has got a tag that is input tag, right? So how are we gonna make this dynamic as in we're gonna say the input tag and then we have the ID that starts with this. So this is how we need to change it. So ID is basically where's the ID? This is the ID. So we need to take flight origin only. Right, same thing I should do it with the other element as well. Right, because there's so many dynamic elements on this page. So let's try to handle this dynamically. Right. Let's see if other things are also changing or not. Let us run this. See, how we're going to come to know whether the element is dynamic or not. We cannot assume that the element is dynamic. We will always going to come to know on the runtime when the element fails. We need to inspect what is the reason of a failure. So here we come to know that the ID is changing on runtime. So the ID is dynamic. So that's the reason we are first trying to handle the dynamic ID by creating a dynamic CSS or dynamic XPath. And let's see if it works out. See, it worked. It worked this time. And it pressed enter and then quit. Right. So finally it worked. Although we haven't seen that it pressed enter or not because the execution was very fast. So if in case you want to see that thing, you can go to this test, this functionality, and now we need now to add a wait over here. I can add a wait after hitting the enter button, right? Now the block is also not required. So I can remove the block thing from my locators. That is not required over here, right? So let's run this once more to see if all the dynamic part is working fine and if it is actually clicking on the search button. So the delay was very less. And I want to add this delay to, let's say, 10 seconds to make sure it works. Although the better approach is not to add thread.sleep, but once the search is done and the results are there, you just need to make sure any existence of any element after the search is completed, right? So what it will gonna do, it will gonna wait till the time that list pops up. Okay, so what it has actually done now, it has actually, when we said enter, when this thing shows up, it entered and it clicked over here, right? And then it didn't enter, right? So this is another challenge over here. So after entering this, we need to click on search and the search is not working. So this thing we need to make sure we need to fix it in some other way around. Right, we need to find some other way around for search why it is not working. Why is that this element is not clickable? If I try to change the CSS of this element, say home.search.click and in search, let's say button type equal to submit. Let's see if it is a unique CSS. Yep. So let's run this again and let's see if it works. Still want to give some weight to make sure it works. Let's run this. Still it didn't work. Strange. So we need to do a little bit troubleshooting around this and to make it clickable at this point. So yes, I've done a little bit troubleshooting. I've paused the session in between and done some troubleshooting and written some extra code in order to make it work. So what I have actually done, let's say when we select this thing from here, we need to press escape so that this option should go away. I mean, whatever that is popping up should go away, right? So with the help of actions class, I've said keys dot escape dot perform will actually gonna escape that part. And then after giving a delay for few seconds, then I am clicking on this particular block, right, to bring the focus back from this locator to this block, right? Because what I want to do once the focus is back over here, I'll do a page down and it will bring this this search button in the focus, right? Because what is happening over here in this application, till the time this search is not completely shown over here, this button is not completely visible, it is not actually clicking on this button. It is showing, it is giving us exception that the element is not clickable at this point. So this should actually appear, right, as per the functionality of this application. So what I've done after clicking on the block, I've again called actions for doing page down dot perform. Once it is page down is done, again it will give a hard code delay of that particular 3 seconds, and then it will click on the search button, right? So if I run this thing now, this thing should definitely gonna work, right? So yes, this application, like there are some Ajax control on this application, which requires a lot of synchronization to handle, right? And with available synchronization techniques, it is a little bit difficult to handle it. So we need to hard code some of this stuff using thread.sleep. So now let's see. And now say it clicked on the search and it has actually searched for the flights. Right. So this is how, I mean, if I run it again as well, all the time it should work fine. If I just close it and run it again, so it should now work fine all the time. So at times it happens, I mean, there are so many synchronization issues and dynamic elements which we actually need to handle them. So although thread.sleep, we should avoid using it as much as we can. But if any issue like this comes, then there is no other option rather using thread.sleep. So now you can see all the time it's working fine. Right. So what we can do, we can go back over here. It's still running because the final sleep we have given is for 10 seconds. This is not required. So once it is click, it will definitely gonna uh, show the results now, right? So now the entire execution happened. Like searching a flight works absolutely fine for our very first test.